Hello and welcome to another Monday night stream. Just making sure that's lined up. Yep, okay. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. So, yeah, I haven't done one of these for a while. I'm going to be doing director's commentary on chapter 19 and 20. I like to do two at a time, and obviously 20's only just been released, so that's why I haven't done one for a while. But I'm looking forward to getting into it and talking about the process of making these two chapters. I just paused right at the very beginning of chapter 19 to give people a chance to come in and join us. I'll give them about 10 minutes. So I hope everyone is having a good day, had a good weekend. Commentary was suggested last week, and it was something I was thinking about anyway, so I just kind of confirmed it. Colonel Mustang, pretty good. Quiet, but I got a lot done. Glad you had a good weekend too, and also welcome. So should I just call you Colonel? Oh. Do you have a link to the original videos? I mean the ones we're going to do commentary on. That is a good idea. Let me get that up. Just bear with me a moment while I get those. Yeah, I will do that. Just bear with me a second. Didn't actually think about providing the links in the description, so thank you for suggesting it. Right, I've updated the video description, so you should find the links to both chapters in there. Thank you, Joe, for suggesting that. We're going to wait until 10 past to get started, so we've got another 6 minutes, just to give people a chance to come in and join us. Just so no one misses the beginning. Ashton, hello and welcome. Joe, I'm not entirely sure. Just you may need to refresh the video for the description to show up, for links in the description to show up. I'm not sure if that will change, if it's done automatically or if you need to refresh, but you got a few minutes to do that. Looking forward to this. Ken Mustang, do you plan on animating the entire Legend of Thrawn trilogy? It'd be a shame not to finish it, but you are right, it might take some time. I'm just going to worry about finishing Heir to the Empire first, and then we'll see what comes after that. Joe, you're welcome. That I could watch without spoilers. That makes sense. Obviously, there will be spoilers if you're not caught up. So, chapter 20 was released not last Thursday, but the Thursday before. 21 is going to get released this week, because I actually had 21 pretty much almost finished before I finished 20. So I was able to get them out pretty quickly. I just needed to do a little tweaking on 21 to make sure it's perfect. Ashton, I believe I've just answered that question to Colonel Mustang as well. Will I be doing Dark Force Rising and Last Command? I'd like to, but let me finish Heir to the Empire first. Rennie Patrick, hello and welcome. Give another 4 minutes before we get started. I'm glad you're excited to see 21. I started on 22 today, so 22 will not be coming out quite as rapidly after 21 as 21 was after 20. Just the way things worked out that I had it. Was able to finish it so quickly. Before we get started, I'm going to have a quick drink of water so I don't lose my voice while I'm talking about these chapters. I released the Lando character poster for today. And then just after I finished it and had it posted on Twitter and so on, there's 7 laurels on the top for different festivals and awards. I got an email with our 8th award. So of course it happens to be 10 minutes after I posted the one with 7, but I'm still very pleased. We were finalists at the 4 Theatre Selection Festival. I'm very pleased about that. Really, I'm glad you think so. I'm looking forward to 22 and 3 and 4 and pretty much all the chapters for the rest of the book. There's a lot happening. Colonel Mustang, I'm glad you think so. Well, I don't have to give a solid answer. I try to give the best answer I can to the various questions that you guys ask me. It is when I did the first chapter, I never thought I would be this far into it. I thought I was just going to do chapter 1 as a little test project, and the response to it was so overwhelming that I started looking into doing more, thinking that people would get bored of it after chapter 4, and that turned out to be not what happened at all. It's the complete opposite of that. So I want to thank everyone for watching and sharing and commenting, and I wouldn't have done it without you, the support of you guys, because it really was just a test project to test out some ideas for chapter 1. And I thought, well, I kind of like what I did, so I'll put it up on YouTube, and hopefully a few people enjoy it. Die Ghostfish, I believe that was chapter 16. 21 is I don't want to give any spoilers, but It follows on immediately after chapter 20. So when we get to the end of this commentary, you'll see it there. Just having a bit more water before we get started on the commentary. Let's see the last few comments here. Takada, you're giving us the gift we didn't dare hope for. Well, that's very kind of you to say, thank you. Colonel Mustang, yep. We all do want more Star Wars. And Gandalf said you shall not pass. Well, I'd hope he'd let this pass. So, more card stuff. Yeah, cards in it. In 21. It's not a long chapter. 22 is a much longer chapter. There's a huge amount of stuff happens in 22. In fact, quite a few of the chapters coming up are going to be fairly long ones. So I'm looking forward to that. Robotic Pope, greetings and welcome. I'm actually a minute late starting commentary, so I think I said we'd wait till 10 past. It's 11 past now, so I think it's time. Excuse me. I think it's time to get started. So in a moment I'll press play. I've got the volume at this level. If it's too loud or too quiet, please let me know in the chat and I will adjust it accordingly. Excuse me. So yeah. Let me just finish these last few questions and then we'll get started. What about second breakfast? Well, it's 12 minutes past midnight, so I think we're talking about second dinner here. Go Mustang, I feel like your vids show there's a community out there who would like to see Star Wars books animated according to how it's written in the books. That's very kind of you to say. I do hope that other animators and filmmakers are inspired by what I'm doing and pick up some of the other books, because there's no way I can do them all by myself. And there are a lot of good Star Wars books out there, so I'd like to see them animated. Watch someone else take on, the X-Wing books or iJedi or, just so many out there. To kind of know you didn't miss it. For a commentary, I like to give people 10 minutes just to show up. And now it's actually 13 minutes, so I think we should get started. So I'm going to hit play. And the background here is actually near where I live. The trees over there in the sky. Doing some 360-degree photography. This might be my favourite shot in the entire project so far. Mara just looking menacing from that angle in the dark and the lights over her face. It's kind of the way I always imagined this scene with her. You just see her face from the light coming through the window. And it's very easy for me to get absorbed in the story and not talk about when I'm making it. So this is the outside base. Again, it's how I imagined it. I had some questions in the comments about the Corellian Corvette. In one of the later chapters, Luke's looking around the base and he's looking at some of the ships and he comments that there's a Corellian Corvette there. Well, he's kind of thinking about it as he tries to identify what's there. I don't know what the name of the ship is. It's got some Vortzkers. These are very tricky to animate. But I think they turned out okay. obviously this hall was designed on stream many months ago. I had a lot of your input on the lights and scene decorations, which I'm very grateful for. The other class of ship was called next to the corvette. It's an Action 4 corvette. No, Action 4 transport. It's the wild card. This is probably the last chapter I made using iClone 7. Now, just thinking about it. The book describes this room as having this kind of central seating area with a huge tree that goes up through the roof, and that card was sat underneath it. So that's what I opted for. Erotic Pope, yep. He appears properly in 22, but there's no reason why he wouldn't be sitting around the base enjoying something to eat in this particular scene. Lord Cranio, thank you so much. I'm obviously doing the commentary now, so I'm talking over it. You can watch the video itself without me talking. There's links in the description. Stephanie, hello and welcome. It's nice to see you. Seeing some of the limitations of iClone 7. I'm glad that 8 makes things easier. And maybe one day I'll go back and fix the issues. Berserker-thron, I did not have time to do that this week, although it is on my list of things to do. The base is beautifully designed. Thank you. I tried to put a lot of thought into the layout and looking at some of the reference material that was available. Final look at the base. There we go, chapter 19. Of course, this being my favourite shot, I had to use it for the end screen. This is chapter 20. Let me just pause it right at the very beginning. So let me just catch up on some of these comments before we get started on 20. Rennie, thank you for the applause there. Honestly, not sure if I'll show my kids the actual sequels. Well, if you show them these first. Well, thank you. It may take me a while to finish Heir to the Empire, and definitely a while to get to Dark Force Rising and the Last Command. It's something I discussed earlier on in the stream. I'm going to finish Heir to the Empire first and then see how I feel about going on from there. Of course, it would be great to do the other two books, but I haven't really thought too much about them just yet. Beyond that, Berserker-thron, long live Star Wars Legends. Thank you. Alright, I think we're ready to get started on 20. This is now moving on to iClone 8. There's some of the new features like hand clipping and stuff like that. It can stop that so the hands actually touch the objects properly and so on. That makes this stand out a lot better. So I'm going to hit play and I'll talk about it as I can. .3PO obviously gets a lot of attention here because he looks so good. I've had a lot of people say that they thought he was a real costume. Also got Winter. I've given her a new look from when she first appeared in Chapter 2. Obviously the character models have improved a lot since then, so I thought she deserved an upgrade. The thing about 3PO is he presented a problem I've never had to deal with in any of my animation before. But now I'm using ray tracing for the rendering. His shiny head, and the rest of his body too, reflects everything around him. So a lot of times I won't create something behind the camera because it slows down the rendering, and you're rendering something that it's trying to process objects that are not going to be on screen. But because he reflects the environment, if there's nothing there, he's just going to reflect blank space, and it really shows on his head. Yeah, so now I mean the Falcon, luckily I already had the whole cockpit. I'm glad I didn't have to do any rotoscoping. I really hate rotoscoping. I'd rather have a slower render time with a full environment than do rotoscoping, because at least I can go and do something else when it's rendering. Is there any chance for future scenes with both ends to keep their faces out of frame? In the rest of the Heir to the Empire, no both ends appear. Do you have a Patreon or anything like that? I have a Coffee page. It more or less works the same way as Patreon, but I kind of like it better. Let me find a link for you. There you go. Yeah, so let's see. Does 3PO next strings things move in the films too? I never saw. It's a limitation of the character model. I don't know if they move in the actual live action movies, but they do in this because of the way it's rigged and so on. You mean you could change the behind the... I could do something like a skybox, but if I'm not careful, that could still show it has to be done carefully. Can't wait to see what you do with it. Yeah, that's going to be fun. One lightsaber duel in the entire trilogy. Coffee. Coffee does have an anonymous option, I believe. This cantina was really fun to design. I actually built it in The Sims first, just to get an idea of how the layout was going to be, using the Star Wars expansion, and then rebuilt it again for this software. There's some cosplayers in the background to make it look busier. You got a cameo there from HK47. Couldn't resist doing that. This scene was so tricky to do because there's so much happening, there's so many characters that software can't handle it. So I had to break it up into 4 sections and render them each one individually. And each one took about between 9 to 12 hours to render. And I had to do it multiple times because there are issues in certain places. Of course, voicing Torv, we have a special guest. We have Rin, who designed on stream. Die Ghostfish, she should... funny you mentioned Mass Effect. Because Torv is voiced by Mark Meer, who is the voice of male Commander Shepard and many alien characters in the game as well. There is a Mara Jade cosplayer in the background. Actually, there's 2 Mara Jade cosplayers in the background. Hi there, I'm Sonia Priscilla. I love Star Wars and love to go on the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser. I've heard good things about it. It's way out of my price range, I'm afraid. But if you go, I hope you have a great time, especially on your birthday. Well, and now you know why he did sound familiar. You'll hear him talk a lot more when we get to later on in the chapter. 9 to 12 hours, yeah. I tend to leave them running overnight and then go off and leave, or go out and do something else, or keep myself otherwise entertained, because the computer's pretty useless when it's rendering. I don't believe she's available to do extra work. The security guards are just costume items that were in the latest version of iClone. And I thought, well, I'll just put them together to do something, because they're just a one-off appearance, so I didn't want to spend a huge amount of time designing new stuff. Yes, that's a Loth cat. Testing out a way to design creatures. I really like Loth cats, and there's a cat that belongs to the people across the road. So I recorded him on my phone to give him a so this cat that's not mine has a cameo appearance in Heir to the Empire. But it's a good little test of creating a creature myself and animating him. The helmet probably was inspired by Cyberpunk. I don't know. It was just in the free content, so I just used it because why not? Those cats actually appeared in Clone Wars. I can't remember which episode. Mark Meer is perfect for Torv. He just got that smooth, mischievous kind of attitude down perfectly. Why do I have Marvel Jade cosplayers in the background? I went to Celebration Europe when it was in London a few years ago, and one of the things I did was took pictures of my friends who were in costume, so that I could put them in the background of the Star Wars fan film I was working on at the time, to make crowded scenes look busier because the software can't handle lots of characters. So I did, and then to do this scene in the cantina, I thought I'm going to use the same pictures. Actually, one of the Mara Jade cosplayers voices Winter. I do like that the Reverend was working for 12. Joe, it really does. One day I'll have to go back and revisit the early chapters and bring them up to speed. Anyway, that's chapter 20 finished. 21 is coming this Thursday, so to see you there. If you can't make it for the actual premiere, of course it will be immediately available to watch afterwards. So we've got, in this particular still here, there's a Mara Jade cosplayer, there's a General Hux cosplayer, and there's a Leia cosplay here. In other shots in the cantina, you know what, there's no reason I can't go back and point them all out. Let me see. There's another Mara Jade cosplayer here, and an Obi-Wan Kenobi cosplayer here. That's me in my N7 armor next to Mark Meer. He's holding my M8 Avenger. So if anyone's familiar with Mass Effect, that's the big one of the big rifles here. That's another friend of mine who's a cosplayer. I forget the name of the character she was. It's from not a Star Wars costume. It was from one of the Avatar cartoon series. I can't remember the name of the character. Nice, including your friends. Yeah, I like to. The old fan film Star Wars Imperials has a lot more people in it. It's nice. It makes the scene look busier, but there was a slight problem in they don't move, which you kind of expect people in a cantina to move. So I've kind of got these other characters closer to the front to make it to hide the still pictures behind. Colonel Mustang, yep. There's a lot to do still for the rest of the book. But I'm looking forward to it. I mean, there's some really great stuff to animate coming up. So yeah, I took so many pictures of cosplayers. I have to do it again for the next time I go. So yeah, I think that's about all I can say about chapter 19 and 20 at this point. Yeah, just photos. Video of cosplayers, it's a nice idea, but it would make this process a lot more complicated. JT Crusader, I do have something in mind for you. I will be contacting you soon. live action Days of the Jedi Knight cutscenes. Yeah, that was a fun game, and those cutscenes were some of the first. No. Rebel Assault 2 was the first live-action Star Wars video filmed since the Ewok movies and Return of the Jedi. And then Jedi Knight 2 came out after that. And of course you had the special editions in between. Larry Miller, that is so very generous of you. Keep up the great work. Well, I intend to, and with support like that, that really means a lot to me. So thank you so much. Can Lady Faru might make a background cameo? She's in Chapter 2, in the cantina. Larry, a little bit overwhelmed. No, I've had Super Chat on for a while, but no one's ever put quite so much in as that, so it's very generous of you, and I'm a little overwhelmed. So thank you so much. Joe, yeah, I appreciate the offer, but yeah, so iClone can do video in, like, you can have a blank surface and put video on it and it animates and moves. It doesn't support too many of those, so you have to animate a whole crowd like that. But unfortunately, Omniverse, which is what I'm using to render it with the ray tracing, does not support video like that, so it would just not work. And there aren't really many crowded scenes left in the rest of the book, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. But I do appreciate the offer, and if at some point in the future Omniverse adds the ability to do video, and it probably will, because Omniverse is still in development, and so new features are being added fairly often. I'm waiting. The one I really want is the hair physics and the soft cloth physics, so fabric and hair moves naturally. iClone supports it, Omniverse does not, or at least not well. I tried it, and the cape on the test character ended up dragging around the floor on the ankles of the character it's supposed to be wearing it. So I'll have to come back to it. But apparently there's a new physics update coming, or it's going to be revealed soon, later in September. So I'll see what they have to do there. Lord Granios, again, thank you so much. I'm so glad you're doing this. Well, I'm glad you supported me, so thank you. That's very generous of you as well. Do appreciate it. Joe, yeah, that could work. Something to tinker around with. But thank you. Roddick Pope, yes you will. She's not in the background, she kind of... I'm not going to say what she does, but she's there. Yeah, I'm not going to say because you have to look out for her. When Mara talks about her past, will you put the Emperor in a flashback scene? It's something I'm considering. It depends on when I'm rendering it, or when I'm animating it, if it makes sense to do that or not. So maybe not. I'd like to put the Emperor in, but it depends on when I animate the scene, if it works more dramatically to just have her talking, or to show her and the Emperor together. So that's not for quite a while, so when I get close to that, I'll start figuring it out. Will you kill Luke Skywalker's voices start yet? Nope, they start in book 2. It would be fun to have the Emperor in it though, and he always kind of steals the show. Yep, that was Ghent in chapter 19 with blue hair. He's not really described in the book at all, but in the comic book adaptation he has blue hair, so I thought he's going to have blue hair in this. At least I don't think he was described in the book. When I was reading it for the scripts, I didn't see any real description for him. Was there Feline originally in the scene? They don't really describe any of the other Sabak players at all. Han is focused entirely on Torv, which means that I had a little bit of flexibility on what I could put in, and I thought I put Feline in because I didn't want every character around this table to be human. You rarely see cantinas in Star Wars where all the characters are human, so I wanted to try and include a few aliens. He's not going to be jacked in this. He's got blue hair, but he's going to I think I already designed the character. Yeah, I have already designed the character because obviously I used him. He's just going to have a sort of normal physique. I know that comic books tend to make the characters overly muscular. For the Mara chasing Luke scene, let's just say I'm taking some inspiration from Top Gun Maverick for that sequence, and I'm really excited to do it because I really enjoyed that film. Although, unlike that film, and I'm sure that the voice actors are very happy about it, I can't put them in a real cockpit. I'm really looking forward to doing that sequence. And that Top Gun movie gave me a lot of inspiration for that sequence. So we'll see what I can come up with from it. I have to admit, I enjoyed the original Top Gun. It's a good film. I saw the trailer for Maverick and I thought, well, it looks okay, but I'm not that excited. This is way back before the pandemic, and obviously it got delayed. And then I saw it was a trailer. It was a behind-the-scenes trailer where they weren't really showing the film, but they're talking about how they all got in real planes and so on. And I thought, I'm really intrigued by the idea of making the movie as real as possible. So I went to see it, and it was my favourite film of the year so far, and probably will remain my favourite film of the year because it was just so good. And also one of the first films I went to see in the cinema since the pandemic as well, and that was a great way to go back to the cinema. So yeah, I guess inspiration from the best places. Did any Babylon 5 influence this or these scenes? Babylon 5 is something that it's one of my favourite shows. I don't know if I could say it influenced this project, although I did render out a Babylon 5 battle scene with Omniverse as a test project when I was learning how to use it. He has cybernetics on his forehead. He does have cybernetics on his forehead, but they're just drawn as lines, which is what I've done with the character model. Here's a question for you. Which EU fan favourite character did George Lucas hate? So the answer to this, I think the answer you're looking for is Mara Jade, but George Lucas did not hate Mara Jade. He wasn't a fan of the marriage and the romance, but he approved the creation of Mara Jade because when Heir to the Empire was written, and a lot of the early EU material, everything had to go by him. So if he hated Mara Jade, then he would not have approved her creation. Later on in the EU, when there was so much stuff being developed, I suspect a lot of stuff didn't get his approval, but it just happened just for the sake of ease. But yeah, he was okay with Mara Jade. And if you go back and look at some of the Timothy Zahn interviews, Timothy Zahn wanted to do had a lot of ideas for Heir to the Empire that he was not allowed to use. Like Sabaoth was going to be a clone of Obi-Wan, and things like that, and George Lucas said no. Also, he had to be very vague about references to the Clone Wars and some other stuff. I forget all of it, but it's in the interviews, which if you track down Timothy Zahn interviews, you can see. I know you want to do to rush. However, it's a goal of yours to have Heir to the Empire Part 2 ready for Christmas Day 2023. That'd be nice. It depends on a number of factors which I don't have control of at the moment, how quickly I can get it finished. I know when I'd like to get it finished by, but I don't want to say anything because I don't know at the moment if it's possible to meet that deadline. Yeah, I think the I Hate Mara Jade thing was a joke. I've seen that video where that guy mentions Mara Jade and George Lucas throws him out of the room. That was so funny. And obviously he was up for that scene. They wouldn't, because he's kind of poking fun at himself just being in it. And I've never seen George Lucas angry in any video or interview or anything before. So you must have had fun with that. Joe, I'm glad you like the way that Mara looks in these videos. And yeah, George is a very funny man. Well, I think I might end the stream soon. I kind of covered everything I was going to say about chapter 19 and 20. Just as a reminder, I've said it a few times already. Chapter 21 is coming this Thursday, so it's a fun little chapter. It's not as long as 20, but what time is the premiere on Thursday? It is 10 PM in the UK, 5 PM Eastern Standard. If you can't make it to the premiere, it will immediately be on the channel, so you can catch it straight away after that. I don't delay it after that or anything like that. So yeah, you catch up some of these questions. Have any other animators offered to help you in this project? The problem with collaborating with other animators is I would need them to use iClone an Omniverse. Well, not Omniverse originally, but and other animators tend to use other software, so it's quite tricky to share content and get a consistent visual style. Also, the animation isn't really it's very tricky to share and collaborate like that. I'd rather other animators picked up different Star Wars books and took those on, because then we get more Star Wars stories. That one, welcome to London, you've seen stayed with me for the whole time since session. Well, I'm glad that seemed really stood out to you. So yeah, I'm going to end the stream, I think. So I wish you all a good night. Again, thank you so much, Lord Cranio and Larry Miller, for your support with the super chat. Both that means a lot. And I will see you all on Thursday. So may the Thrawn be with you. Take care, and thank you for watching.